against Tegan Cavan today.
Your four-time SEC Head Coach of the Year, Karen Weekly. Over 1,100 victories with the Lady Vols in Knoxville. Of course, over 1,300 victories overall in her storied career, including 20 straight NCAA tournaments. They have hosted a regional the last 19 years. Kinsey Fiedler, the first to get things started on this Sunday afternoon in Austin. Dream conditions for some softball out here on the diamond. Fiedler 1 for 4 with a run scored so far this weekend in this matchup of the two UTs.
Fiedler was in the two-hole yesterday, had Savia Morgan leading off. As a two-hole, she drew that walk to be on ahead of McKenna Gibson, who hit the two-run homer off Mac Morgan. Coach Karen Weekly talking about drawing the walk and then being able to execute after it was the key.
And on Friday against Cavan, we saw Fiedler draw one of the 5 walks that were allowed by Cavan, who was able to strand all 5 of those base runners back on Friday. She had gone better than 16 innings without walking a batter before allowing those 5 free passes in the opener.
You can tell Cavan trying to figure out exactly where the corners are right now. Her rise ball can tilt both ways as well, so you'll see it take a little bit of a curve, sometimes a little bit of a screw like that last pitch.
5-pitch walk to Fiedler. As Tennessee will try to set the tone for the second straight day. Our home plate umpire is Chris Neighbors. Alex Leap and Cameron Ellison round out our umpiring crew out in the field. And it is looking like it's going to be another capacity crowd to take in some top 5 softball with an SEC victory on the line. And again, we mentioned she had had a drought of avoiding walks for better than 16 innings. And on Friday, 5 free passes that did not come back to bite the Longhorn pitcher. This is Taylor Panel. First team all-conference last year. An outfielder a year ago. This year, you're starting third baseman every day for Tennessee. Injury cut her freshman campaign short. And that one hit her. So shades of what we saw back on Friday. First 2 batters able to threaten here for Tennessee, and of course, what Texas wants to avoid is a repeat of yesterday when Boo Gibson in the first inning went yard for a 2-run blast.
And it was similar. Mac Morgan was being squeezed, having to figure out exactly where the strike zone was. Elevates a drop ball, and McKenna Gibson was ready for it. So Tegan Cavan has to be careful, even behind in the count. Gibson's going to have the green light.
See those 4 home runs among her last 5 hits as she squares around here. She had a home run in each of the Mississippi State games last weekend. Did not go yard on Friday, but conquered that left field wall yesterday. She has incredible numbers, even considering the fact that she missed the first 2 weeks coming back from injury this year. Pops this one up. And fortunate to avoid an infield fly rule. Bases loaded. Everything going the way of the Lady Vols here early on.
Well, they get exactly what they want from this is a pop-up on the bunt, but Jolie Mitchell, seeing the bunt moves over to first base, doesn't even come for the ball. That's a bunt single for Gibson. That's Texas defense being out of sorts there. But that's exactly what you want. Rise ball pitcher, bunt situation, you want it in the air, but it has to be communicated who's going to have the ball on that side. That was an easy out, unfortunately. Texas botched. And on top of it, no one called it to try to throw to third because Fiedler had to stay close to the bag with how high that pop-up was because it looked like an easy out.
So a walk to Fiedler. She's on third now. The hit batter Panels on second. That is scored a single for Boo Gibson. And your cleanup hitter, Sophia Nugent, now with a chance to clean up.
Tegan Cavan, a pitcher with so much movement that a lot of times you get offenses to chase early, and that allows her to get in the zone. Tennessee doing opposite. They're not chasing early. They're forcing her to throw strikes before they're going to be overly aggressive, especially having watched how many she walked on Friday night.
Nugent 0 for 6 against Texas pitching here this weekend. A great opportunity to break through with bases loaded and nobody out. Looking to take a second straight game at the expense of number 1 Texas.
You know, it's the announcer's jinx. As soon as I say they're not going to chase, they chase a rise ball way out of the zone.
We'll pass Kat's email along at the end of the broadcast. Bases loaded, nobody out. Just missed the black frame of the plate.
These pitches by Tegan Cavan, they look good. If they're missing, it is not by much.
The 2-2 from Cavan. Of course, Nugent, a 2-time national champion from her time in Norman. Now in her final year with Tennessee.
Nugent, one of the first big pieces that ever really left Norman.
Again, nobody out with bases loaded. This stays playable in foul territory, and the two Longhorns combine. And they're going to say that properly tagging up from third was Kenzie Fiedler. She got down the line in a hurry. They appeal to third and say that no, she did not leave early, and Tennessee scores first. Wow. What an inning for the Lady Vols.
Well, right now, Texas not communicating well and not keeping their head in the game. Reese Atwood and Jolie Mitchell collide on this one. And you saw after the play, Reese Atwood said, "I can't hear you. It's loud." Jolie Mitchell has to be louder, but Tegan Cavan can't watch that happen. She has to cover the plate the second that Reese Atwood vacates. Tennessee being heads up, taking advantage. Again, an early lead for the Vols.
So an RBI foul out. At most 20 feet from home plate. Off the bat of Nugent gives Tennessee for a second straight day the lead in the first inning. No traditional threat of a double play ball here with one out as first base unoccupied. Or Mueller at the plate. Mueller, the Tennessee native who started her career as a Blue Raider over at Middle Tennessee. Last year, 8 home runs in her first year in Knoxville, 5 home runs already this year. And a big cut there, the count 2-2. So one free pass has already come back to bite Texas. The hit batter panel is over on third. Gibson, who had that botched bunt, but managed to single out of it in scoring position as well on your screen.
This is where you can see pressure coming in at Texas. They haven't been in a ton of real pressure situations, especially here at home. And defensively here in the top of the first, just haven't been able to respond.
First strikeout of the day for Tegan Cavan, 2 outs.
Laura Mueller expecting something up, and Tegan Cavan uses that changeup right through the heart of the zone. First off-speed pitch we've seen her offer, and none bigger than for the strikeout looking.
All right, one of the Texas twins. This is Gabby Leach. They're out of the Woodlands, of course. 2 of the 4 Leach sisters who have come through this program over the years. Preceded by Aubrey and Kelsey.
And Aubrey Leach still on staff for Tennessee. She's the director of player development. Gabby and her twin, Alana Leach, on the roster now.
6th batter of the inning for Tennessee. They've already scored 1 on an RBI foul out. Panel on third, Gibson on second with 2 away. Tegan Cavan Could be one strike away from getting Texas back into the dugout to grab their bats for the first time, trailing by just one.
You see, when that ball is tight and in, Kavon getting a lot of swing and misses right now. It's on the outer half that Tennessee's really having to make her work a lot harder.
That's Kavon with a K, her second. Lady Vols strike first. A rubber match on this Sunday afternoon. Texas grabs their bats for the first time. Maloney, Henry, and Scott.
Virtually untouchable yesterday. Texas just scattering 4 hits against the junior.
Kept a potent Texas lineup at bay yesterday. It is a lineup in which the first 5 hitters all batting better than 400 for Coach Mike White in his 7th year at the helm. As Ashton Maloney leading off, but Mia Scott, you see the series she has had so far, batting 600 over the first 2 days. Maloney, the junior, leading things off, hitting .459 on the year. And a foul out of play. Maloney 1 for 6 this weekend, with a run scored.
First hit by pitch ever of her career as well.
That's right. Shot at the middle. Second hit of the weekend. Tying run is on for number 1 Texas.
Such a key at bat for Ashton Maloney. She struggled against Pickens yesterday, but a ball up in the zone stays on top of that in order to drive it to center field. Yesterday, those were foul balls and pop-ups. Ashton Maloney making the adjustment, able to get herself on base hit, put Texas in good position here to respond.
She has 9 stolen bases on the year, not running there. And Sophia Nugent completes the battery with Carlin Pickens. First pitch in there for a strike. Henry among the preseason All-Americans for Texas coming into this year, coming off a brilliant freshman campaign. Continues to be working on her short game. Mike White says nobody gives him more grief than the talented 2-hole hitter for Texas.
Link and I got to call Wednesday's game against Texas State, and we interviewed Caden Henry Tuesday morning, and she was actually talking to us about how they have adopted the moniker of Pawpaw White this year for Coach White. And as she was explaining it to us, Coach White popped on for his time to talk to us, and all he did was laugh at how she was explaining that Coach White is now kind of Grandpa/Pawpaw White. And promptly asked, so what do you want, Caden? Because she was talking so much about him.
His ears were burning. Count has gone full. Leadoff single from Ashton Maloney. Caden Henry trying to give Texas their second base runner here early on against your reigning pitcher of the year in the SEC. But Pickens prevails. Her first punch out, 1 away.
Henry just not on plane against Pickens. Both swing and misses well over a drop ball pitcher. And even though that is somewhat pitch, big first out for Pickens without allowing Maloney to advance.
Well, it was Mia Scott on Friday with some heads-up base running who really helped apply pressure on the infield and the defense of Tennessee. Turned an RBI base hit all of a sudden into a couple of runs for the Longhorns. She's on that back edge of the batter's box as that last pitch a strike to even up the count.
You can tell by the look on Mia Scott's face there, she didn't necessarily agree with that call.
Big cut as she falls behind 1-2. Again, a leadoff single from Ashton Maloney up the middle. Since then, a strikeout. Now your 3-hole hitter, Scott, trying to move the potential tying run around.
It looks like Pickens using her fastball more today than she did on Saturday, excuse me. A lot of drop balls on Saturday that Texas eventually laid off later in the game, got deeper in the counts against Pickens. Pickens just throwing straight gas right now. That fastball freezing Texas just a little bit.
Mia's the only batter for either team with 3 hits over the first 2 days here in Austin. But unable to get a piece of that one. Back-to-back strikeouts, a response from Pickens after the leadoff single.
Well, this a rise ball here you see go up in the zone, and Mia Scott again, another Texas hitter, just nowhere close to being able to get the barrel to that ball. Mia Scott was on the plate a little bit more than normal as well, so have to wonder if she was trying to cover the outer half and she just got fooled there. Didn't mean to swing because that was not going to be a called strike.
Of course, in recent years, Tennessee's had names like Rogers and Gottschall in the circle. Now the baton passed to Carlin. Well, if you're a Texas fan and you want an RBI, perhaps no better source historically for this program than Reese Atwood. Midway through her junior year, already tops the career charts as your RBI queen. Right on cue. This one off the wall. Ashton Maloney from first will come all the way home. It's as if it's scripted for Reese Atwood.
If you're a Texas fan, you never count Reese Atwood out. She may have a game or two where she struggles, and yesterday didn't barrel up Carlin Pickens at all. But making the adjustment here, and you see Carlin Pickens trying to go outside. That is plated. Reese Atwood stays on top of that after being a strikeout victim of rise balls yesterday. Drives that just off the wall. Thought that might clear it, but midway off the wall, and that bounce off that left field wall actually favored Texas, allowed Ashton Maloney to score because it got too far away from Morgan.
Jolie Mitchell, 1 pitch later, joins Atwood on the base paths with 2 outs.
Well, believe it or not, Lincoln, we said Ashton Maloney got hit by a pitch for the first time in her career yesterday, or in this series. That there is Jolie Mitchell's only second hit by a pitch in her career, and the first was on Wednesday. So this week is a lot of firsts for Texas in the hit by pitch category.
And this is a good sign for Texas fans, as that other shade of orange having to gather in the circle as the early lead for Tennessee has been erased.
You see, pitching coach Megan Rhodes Smith heading out, have a conversation with Pickens.
Of course, Rhodes Smith pitched for Tennessee, led them 3 times to Oklahoma City.
Coach Karen Weekly talks so high about Megan Rhodes Smith, and she believes she's one of the best young pitching coaches in the country. I believe she's often overlooked just because her pitchers never look the same. There is not a Megan Rhodes Smith type of pitcher. She meets them all where they are when they come to campus and tries to increase their productivity.
Tennessee gets out of the innings training 2 base runners, but not before Reese Atwood ties this one up in the home half of the first, bringing Ashton Maloney home. It's a brand new ball game heading into inning number 2. It was a short-lived advantage. On to the bottom third of the order. First pitch to Amaya Doyle, sky high into the Texas sun. And Longhorns able to avoid a collision that time as Leanne Good squeezes it in.
Well, and the key there was Leanne Good knew she could get to it right off the bat. So not only was she calling it, but she was waving her hands so that way Katie Bennett knew not to come in her direction, and Caden Henry can see that she's camped under it. But it's a day you have to have the visors and the sunglasses to combat the sun.
Freshman Ella Dodge for the first time today out of the 8-hole, seeing Tegan Gavant. Dodge was 0 for 3 against the Texas Ace back on Friday. Ella 1 for 6 overall this weekend, the Florida native in her redshirt freshman campaign. She's ahead in the count, 2-0. As Kavan able to paint the edge for the first strike. You'll see those letters of KTP and PTK on the gear of these Tennessee players. Keep throwing punches and punch to kill. The mottos for the team. Basically just keep fighting till your final out.
To be honest, Lincoln, in the SEC, that's a mindset you have to have because there's no game where you throw the first punch and it's the knockout punch.
Both teams have landed jabs as of that first inning.
Well, and let's talk about Tennessee last weekend. 3 games that were all run rules.
All run rules, yep.
2 in Tennessee's favor, 1 in Mississippi State's favor. So even if you threw a big punch on Friday, you got the big punch back on Saturday.
So on out to Caden Henry. 2 away. As the 8-hole hitter worked the count full, but retired. 2 up, 2 down. Yeah, got to be a goldfish in the SEC.
You really do, because day in and day out, what you face is different. And everybody has a good, solid number 2 arm, so there's not a mid game that you can take off and relax at all.
Here's Savia Morgan. She looks out at the Texas defense, where now the left fielder is between the shortstop and right fielder. That's your center fielder and left, your right fielder and center. If you've been paying attention this weekend, this is nothing new to you.
Yeah, it's not new, and if you paid attention yesterday, Caden Henry got a F7 to 3 double play, but Caden Henry's the center fielder, so do you write 7 or 8? But Katie Stewart, who also normally is an infield, is able to come in and plug up that left side, not allow Morgan to have as much space to work with as a slapper.
I will be very impressed if Caden Henry can turn 2 this inning. As right now, nobody on with 2 outs for the 9-hole hitter Morgan. 2-1.
That's your one for this game that you get me.
I'll try to overachieve. Three balls, 1 strike. Savia Morgan, she can get a free pass. She doesn't care about the shift. So it'll give Tennessee a chance to bring the top of their order back around as Kenzie Fiedler walked and scored last inning. This one shot over to Bennett. After Texas ties this one up in the bottom of the first, bottom third of the order of Tennessee goes in order against Tegan Cavan. On to the home half of the second.
Don't ever take for granted the staff behind her with Mac Morgan, Citlali Gutierrez, freshman Cambria Salmon.
7-hole hitter Katie Simmons drove in the 1 run for Texas off of Pickens yesterday in the 4th inning. At the time to make it 2-1. This one fouling out of play. No easy outs in this lineup for the Longhorns.
Simmons, the senior, was day-to-day after last weekend's series. She absolutely got plowed over in that last game in Missouri.
Yeah. Went around on the appeal. Pretty clear on first look. That pitch inside, but could not.
Inside, my question is why were we swinging at all? Because it was tailing in the whole way. There wasn't a point where that really looked like a strike, but Katie Simmons definitely barrel goes across the plate.
3rd strikeout for Pickens. Here's Leanne Good. Over left side, Mueller at short. Routine. So 7, 8, 9 hitters for Tennessee went in order against Cavan. Pickens trying to mow through the bottom third of the Longhorn lineup. Gives way for the first time today to Katie Bennett.
All right, now Pickens has just needed 4 pitches to record 2 outs against the Longhorns.
Bennett 0 for 4 this weekend. When you're batting 9th and you're going up against a pitcher like Carlin Pickens, you're not guaranteed to get to swing a bat for a 3rd time.
You are not. Carlin Pickens can make quick work and easy work sometimes of offensive lineups. Texas having gone 6 in the first, though, might give Katie Bennett a better chance at seeing Carlin Pickens 2 more times today.
Started her career over at Abilene Christian in the WAC before making her way to Texas. Bennett's been doing her job overall this year, getting on base, turning this lineup over for the Longhorns. And works her way ahead in the count, 2-1 against Carlin Pickens.
Well, Bennett, as an 8th grader, actually committed to Oklahoma State University. Had some personal issues throughout her time from 8th grade until it was time to report to college, and ended up a much different path.
Taylor Panel across the diamond. 7-8-9 go in order. Pickens finds her third strikeout. We've got a fun one brewing here on this Sunday afternoon in Austin. Level at 1. In on here, including the Longhorns and the Lady Vols.
Well, top 7 of the top 10 in the SEC, and that just makes for a grueling, absolutely grueling conference schedule. And I was talking to you before the game, Lincoln. A friend of mine said, how is Tennessee number 5 in the country but 6th in the SEC right now? Well, that's why, because you're facing off against 1 through 10 almost every other weekend, if not 1 through 25.
Texas suffered its first loss in conference when they had to head out to Gainesville, dropping the final game on that Monday. Most recently, Tennessee's handed them a third loss. And Kenzie Fiedler, your only runner to score today for Tennessee, already retired on a pitch by Tegan Gavon. But such a great atmosphere here at McCombs and all throughout the SEC.
Go look at any team's SEC schedule, and you'll see it is hard to get a sweep in the SEC regardless of who you're playing. And that's just because everyone has good arms on their entire staff, quality bats 1 through 9 in their lineup. It's the premier softball conference for a reason, and it only got stronger with Texas and Oklahoma joining this past offseason.
Taylor Panel was hit by a pitch back in the first inning. She'd wind up being one of 2 runners stranded in scoring position when she was stuck 60 feet away from giving Tennessee, at the time, insurance, something they would have welcomed after the Longhorns were able to answer in the home half. And Reese Atwood, the battery mate of Tegan Gavon. Gavon, the sophomore out of West Des Moines, Iowa, did not play high school softball. And again, strike zone today has drawn mixed reactions from the orange-clad fans of the burnt orange variety today.
Yeah, the burnt orange definitely a little bit more upset over it than the Tennessee orange.
2-2 out towards left. Stewart over the head off the wall. Will try to get the out at second. But a double with 1 out for Taylor Panel. Second hit of the day for Tennessee, the first one to get out of the infield. Second time she is in scoring position.
Well, Tegan Gavon didn't get that strike on the outer half, tries to come back on the inner half, but this just below the belt. And Panel drives that, and you saw Stewart get chased, but it was on a line shot, cleared Stewart's head. A better throw, though. They would have had a good shot at getting Panel at second. Throw just took Katie Bennett a little bit too far away from the bag.
7 straight batters had been retired before that double for Panel. The last batter to reach is this batter, Boo Gibson, who had that, again, pop-up bunt single. She would wind up being stranded on second back in the first. Two times already in her career, first team All-SEC. This out of play. A year ago, Boo was a .339 hitter with 41 RBI and 7 home runs. We mentioned 4 of her last 5 hits had been home runs. She spoiled that with the bunt single. Still pretty good.
You know, no matter what it looks like, it ups the batting average and goes down as a hit.
A couple years ago, an All-American campaign. So after that All-American campaign, you see her improvement from last year to this year. I mean, most people would happily take last season's numbers.
But yeah, last season, absolutely incredible, and you see the 55 games, but already through 30, a higher batting average, more home runs.
Just fights off the 2-2, and again, I mentioned it during her first at-bat. Missed the first couple of weeks this year with injury, and yet still numbers are up.
And that increase in offensive production and power attributed, 1, to Gibson being a learner and adjusting, but 2, Coach Karen Weekly had to replace Chris Malvo, who took the head job at Auburn.
A chance to reclaim a lead here. They will send Panel from second. It's out of the glove. We're not going to get panel. It's 2-1 Tennessee. Boo Gibson is struck once more. Second time in the last 2 days, Gibson has given the Lady Vols a lead here on the road in Austin.
Well, right now it looks to me that Tennessee offense is ready for the rise balls inside against Tegan Cavan. We've seen a lot of swing and misses on that pitch, but they're also now starting to barrel it up. She has to figure out how to use that changeup in the outside corner if she's going to keep Tennessee from continuing to bounce back.
First pitch to Sophia Nugent off the mark, and she had the RBI foul out to the catcher to give Tennessee that short-lived first lead.
And there you see Friday night, Tegan Cavan able to hold Tennessee just to 2 hits. You could put an asterisk next to today's 3 for 9, the one hit, a pop-up bunt that fell in the infield, but still nonetheless, Tennessee making adjustments early. And I'll say this too, Lincoln, and it goes for any pitcher. When you throw 64, 65 plus miles an hour and you're playing at night when it's starting to get dark, that speed can play on hitters, and we saw Tegan Cavan rack up 18 Ks against Texas Tech in a similar situation.
Third straight ball shot out to Katie Stewart in left. Third straight base hit for Tennessee. So Gibson down to third. It's a single for Nugent. And now twice as many hits already today. Given up by Mike White's ace, then back on Friday.
And again, another inside pitch that Tennessee is able to drive into left field, and even if it's not hard, they are ready for that inner half. So this is where Cavan, Reese Atwood, Coach Mike White have to have conversations. Don't get me wrong, there have been a couple really close pitches that Tegan Cavan has thrown on the outer half, not gotten the call on, but that doesn't mean you shy away from it. You have to continue to try to work that corner, maybe work the off speed on that corner. Tennessee has not hurt her in the off speed department. They haven't been able to barrel that pitch up. And to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of her drop ball either.
Cavan got the ground out for the first out this inning. Retiring Fiedler since that. Doubles from Panel and Gibson, the single from Nugent. Tennessee reestablishing a lone run advantage, looking for more. As Laura Mueller struck out looking back in the first. Comes up to face Cavan for a second time today.
For Tennessee, number 1, Katie Taylor, is now running at third base.
And they are going to run for Boo Gibson here. Katie Taylor in her place. So the senior 60 feet away from giving Tennessee their first insurance run of the afternoon. And a first pitch strike, the response from Tegan Cavan.
That's the outer half that she hasn't had to make Tennessee think about a ton so far in this game.
Out of play, foul. 0-2 hole. 2 programs with a combined 15 trips to Oklahoma City. Each hoping this is the year that they win on that final day to claim their first national championship. Runners on the corners for Tennessee. With 1 out, make it 2 outs. Cavan has double dipped at the expense of Mueller today.
Well, that sequence by Tegan Cavan was exactly what I was talking about. She went outside low in the zone, outside for a foul ball, now uses that rise ball out of the zone against Mueller, but on the outer half versus the inner half.
So Cavan 3 strikeouts today, twice of Mueller, and the other one against this woman at the plate, Gabby Leach. Right now has the weight on her shoulders. She came up with a couple of runners on in the first. Texas got out of that jam, comes up here with 2 runners on. Nice job by Atwood, able to frame that one for the strike. Back-to-back regular season champions, Tennessee. Overall 3 times they've claimed the regular season crown, and 3 AQs out of the conference tournament as well. They swept the titles back in 2023. Ultimately would fall at home in the Super Regional against Alabama, winning that first game, but then dropping the next 2 in Knoxville. Tennessee has already reclaimed a lead, threatening to add more. The count goes even 2-2 with the pinch runner Taylor on third and Nugent over on first.
And Lincoln, you hit it on the head. Both these teams, obviously, postseason experience. They've gotten themselves to Oklahoma City. Both of them historically known for great arms, and more recently been able to add the offensive to that piece.
In foul territory, a little snow cone on a day that's heating up here in Austin. Mia Scott records the third out. Tennessee strands 2 more, but not before reclaiming a 1-run advantage for their pitcher, Carlin Pickens. Their order to the plate for a second time in the third, so will Texas, and this is what Texas boasts in their top 5 spots of the lineup this year.
Well, the top 5 really has been able to get on base, drive in runs, and be the heart and soul of this offense. Not many offenses can boast 5 hitters over 400.
At last glance, when you look at the Texas record books, those 4 batters, the top 4 for Texas, could be among the top 6 seasons of all time for the Longhorns.
And you have to credit Steve Singleton and his ability not just to recruit good hitting athletes, but be able to continue to allow these athletes to grow in their game and offensively increase their production year in and year out.
Here's Ashton Maloney. She was your tying run in the first. A nice recovery by Carlin Pickens. I don't know if that was 78.2 down to first, but able to beat Maloney 1 away.
Under most circumstances, this is a base hit for Ashton Maloney with her speed, but Pickens has to run through it, does a great job, but able to plant and make a great throw. That throw, high or low, Ashton Maloney probably beats it out. That had to be picture perfect for Carlin Pickens.
So Caden Henry, who is 0 for 1 with a strikeout today against Pickens. First time through the lineup, Pickens recording 3 strikeouts against the Longhorn lineup. The first was Henry back in the first. Often when you ask a coach to draw comparisons to a past player, they don't go to an existing player on the roster, but when we talked about Caden Henry a couple years ago when she arrived, he goes, yes, just like Mia Scott. You still have Mia Scott for a couple more years. You have the embarrassment of riches of having both playing together.
Correct, and you conveniently he can conveniently say he recruited them from the same travel ball organization, and the 2 of them also played 3 years together in the travel ball circuit. So Caden Henry has been around Mia Scott plenty, but left-handers who can play short game, who can hit for power, who can run. You know, Mia Scott hasn't had to run as much the last 2 years, but has that ability.
You saw Scott in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch. Pickens twice today has struck out Henry. 2 away.
Another strikeout, and again, Caden Henry just not on plane. She's swinging over all of these pitches by Pickens. Maybe over swinging a little bit, trying to catch up to the speed of Pickens.
Carlin was not able to get out of the first inning with that lead still intact. She's trying to get out of the third inning with this second lead that's been established for her. Mia Scott standing in her way. First pitch a strike from the Lady Vols ace.
You can see when Mia Scott gets in the box, she's a lot closer to that chalk line today than she has been in the past. That foot is right on that back corner.
Tough hop, charging Mueller, and just has to swallow it. Infield base hit for Mia Scott, her 4th hit of the weekend. comes with 2 outs, and it brings back the bat of Reese Atwood, who had the game-tying RBI double back in the first. Atwood tattooed that left field wall. Maloney would score all the way from first on that base hit.
I have to imagine that if Reese can get anything into the gap, that Coach White's going to be waving Mia Scott home as well. The senior at first base has incredible speed, and there's a third gear that when she has to score, she can find.
57 RBI on the year already for Atwood.
But, you know, right now, if I'm Tennessee Lincoln, I'm going to probably try to avoid Reese Atwood in this situation. I'm going to force Jolie Mitchell and or Katie Stewart to do something behind her.
2 outs, run on first. Charging his panel and fires a dart over to first. So Tennessee not made to pay for the 2-out base hit from Mia Scott. Longhorns will strand their third runner of the day, and the lead still intact for the number 5 team in the nation. And panel.
And that changeup has been low and not close to the zone. That one gets away from Reese Atwood.
Tennessee has stranded 3 in scoring position. They've got 2 more in scoring position here.
There's not many times I would say walk the bases loaded, but I think right now against Gibson I might.
And Boo Gibson, truly the difference maker last game with the home run. And Mike White is ready to make a change. Next pitcher for the Longhorns is going to inherit a 2-0 count on Boo Gibson. And the start, at least for Tegan Gavon, is over. We'll step aside. Lady Vols with 2 runners in scoring position. Nobody out in the 5th, looking to add to a 1-0 lead before Sit Lally takes the circle.
What's harder?
Second start of the weekend. She leaves a 1-run ball game, with the Lady Vols threatening.
Really, the first time this season the sophomore has struggled any, and it's not that bad of a stat line to be honest, but it was just controlling the at-bats, being able to stay in ahead, utilize off speed. Just not as sharp as she normally is, but gives way to junior Lali Gutierrez.
Second straight day that Tennessee will see Gutierrez come in relief in the circle. She entered in the 3rd inning yesterday. Would go 4 1/3 to close out the ball game. She would face 16 batters, give up 4 hits, 1 earned run, striking out 3. So again, a 2-0 count to Boo Gibson. First pitch fouled off, 2-1. Boo with a single in the first, RBI double in the 3rd. They pinch ran for her in the 3rd, so she re-enters. They cannot sub for her again, otherwise her time in Austin is over. And Texas may have caught a break. Stewart underneath it. It will be a sacrifice fly, though. The remaining base runner for Tennessee is going to run her way back to the dugout. So Boo Gibson with the sac fly brings home Kenzie Fiedler. Taylor Panel now, the 2nd out of the inning.
One pitch, and Savali Gutierrez able to get them 2 outs. This pitch over the heart of the plate, though. You can't miss those spots to hitters like Boo Gibson. But the sac fly to Katie Stewart. A great throw, knowing they don't have the runner at home. Katie Simmons cuts, heads up play to get Panel, who was trying to go from 2nd to 3rd. Panel has to see that ball all the way through the cut before she takes off.
Here's Sophia Nugent. The RBI foul out back in the 1st inning. Preceded her single in the 3rd. And Tennessee finally has insurance on the board. Current score 3-1 was their victorious scoreline yesterday.
But I'm going to go back to that would not be a sac fly if that changeup in the dirt hadn't gotten away from Reese Atwood.
Yeah.
So that pitch in the dirt as a wild pitcher pass ball, that was all the difference in Tennessee having a 2-run lead right now.
Well, and remember how they scored their first run of the ball game. Little things adding up.
Well, when you're playing a top 5 matchup, and these are the matchups you're going to see in Oklahoma City, those little things are all the difference in the world, and Texas knows that.
Again, it was Nugent at the plate, who is a routine foul ball. But when your first baseman and catcher collide, able to hang on to the ball, they arguably would have been better off dropping the ball in that situation, because all of a sudden you had coming home Kinsey Fiedler at the time, who has now scored twice today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gutierrez on in relief, facing the cleanup hitter Nugent. On the right side, Simmett snags it. And Texas has some work to do heading into the home half of the 5th. Tennessee's grown their lead to 2. Eastern, 6 Central. So just because this series wraps up on a Sunday doesn't mean that your enjoyment of some top 25 nationally ranked softball has to conclude with the weekend. Love that the SEC carries over onto Mondays. Often get to hear the head coach of the home team mic'd up as well. Appreciate both the time of both of our head coaches in this one. Getting the chat to chat. That's going to be a foul ball, as Katie Bennett trying to lead things off here by reaching base in the 5th inning.
Katie Bennett almost had herself a bunt single. If that was just about 3 inches more inside the line, she deadened that ball nicely right down the 3rd baseline.
Got to talk to the grounds crew about that one.
Built some dirt up there on the chalk line.
Bennett 0 for 1 today with a ground out to the left side against Carlin Pickens. Still going strong in her start. Now enjoying an insurance run. And the count will stay at 1-2 to Bennett, with the top of the order for Texas waiting in the wings. And Texas bat starting to cool off. I think we understand the leading reason why.
When you're facing one of the best arms in the country, you're not going to put up 7 runs a game. And obviously Texas, knowing it was going to be a tough one going into this series.
Able to lay off that one outside, 2-2.
Well, and just how good is Carlin Pickens? You see there, top 10 in the country, ERA under 1.
Bennett got a piece of it to keep her at bat alive, 2-2.
An ERA under 1 in this day and age of softball is not an easy thing to do. There's so much technology that can emulate what pitchers do. There's so much technology in the scouting department. It's not a secret what pitchers do anymore.
Bennett's a .476 hitter leading off an inning, and she's going to reach here.
Well, this is a crack in the door that Texas needs to bust open. Katie Bennett does a great job being able to put this ball in play. Got some good spin on it, too. We've seen Mueller eaten up on a couple spinning ground balls here in Austin. But with no outs and Texas having a base runner and going to the top of the order for the 3rd time today, it's their time to crack through if they're going to be able to do it.
It is an error on the shortstop. Katie Bennett doesn't care how it's scored. She just hopes to score this inning. Tying run at the plate, Ashton Maloney, and your top of the order for Texas coming around for a 3rd time. Maloney, the only Longhorn to cross home plate today. That was back in the 1st to tie the game up at the time. A single in the 1st, grounded back to the pitcher in the 3rd. 1 for 2 today.
You see Pickens just go right at Ashton Maloney to try to thwart the momentum that Katie Bennett had started. This is where Texas looks like they're just over swinging a little bit. You're a slapper, put the ball in play, let Katie Bennett run, let your speed work.
6th strikeout for Pickens today, 2 of them at the expense of Caden Henry. And we'll see if the third time to see a pitcher really is the charm in a ball game. Right up the middle, off the glove of Pickens. Still a chance to get the lead out. A nice recovery by Ella Dodge. If there's not a base runner, that's an infield base hit.
Yeah, this looked like it might get through, and Ella Dodge able to make a great play. Katie Bennett started sliding just a little bit early there, slid her up, but nonetheless, Tennessee has been able to make quick work since Bennett got on base. But Lincoln, Tennessee, 3 runs, and Carlin Pickens in the circle is a pretty good equation, as they are 17-1 when runs and Carlin Pickens starting.
And a chance to get out of the inning here, giving way to the shortstop, Mueller. So Katie Bennett got on to get the 5th inning started. Next 3 batters for Texas retired. Lady Vols looking to add a little more here late. Covering home, Kenzie Fiedler able to come home to score. Reese Atwood, though, in the bottom of the 1st, would quickly erase the deficit, bringing Ashton Maloney home, who had led off with a single. On to the 3rd, Lady Vols would establish their 2nd lead, a lead that they have not relinquished. They have since tacked on insurance in the top of the 5th. As we welcome you back here for the top of the 6th. Of course, last innings that Lolly Gutierrez came in would ultimately record the 3 outs needed, but not before Tennessee did tack on insurance on a sac fly. And Mueller over the left side, good. 1 away. So on to the top of the 6th. These are some of your storylines so far today. Tennessee's top 4 has been just fantastic against Texas pitching.
Well, that's been the key, is not just the 2 extra base hits, but being able to find a way on base. And you and I mentioned last half inning, Lincoln, that it's the small things. The little things have to be taken care of, and when you're in a matchup like this, and so many of them throughout the SEC, but more importantly, when it's an intense and tight moment, the little things are all the difference. And right now, you take away the pop-up bunt and not covering the plate, and then the wild pitch last inning that advanced runners into scoring position, this could easily be a 1-1 ball game.
So Gabby Leach, an 0-2 count, seeing Gutierrez for the first time today. And Sitlali, the former state champion, former Stanford High School standout on her junior year at Texas.
Sitlali Gutierrez has been such an integral part of this staff since her freshman year. Throws some good off-speed, both a changeup and an off-speed curveball. But this year in particular has been so much better in relief than starting, so Texas able to use her behind both Tegan Cavan and Mac Morgan.
Last 2 pitches off the mark, count 2-2. And Gabby Leach and her twin sister Alana, the sophomores out of the Woodlands. First strikeout for Gutierrez.
Oh, Gutierrez trying to get Leach with a changeup before this pitch, but then goes up in the zone with a rise ball. Same spot, but a little bit harder, and gets the swing from the Texas native.
This is the first time Amaya Doyle is not leading off an inning when she comes to the plate. 0 for 2 today against Cavan, leading off in the 2nd and the 4th. Comes up here with 2 outs, nobody on. Doyle hitting 157 on the year, actually hitting even better with 2 outs, a 273 hitter to extend innings. If you're in Knoxville and you're the scoreboard operator, you just put a couple outs up there to See if that doesn't work when Doyle comes to the plate.
After everyone else turns their back, go ahead and change it to 2 just so she sees it.
An audience of 1. She'll try to extend things here. Ella Dodge on deck. And Texas with Atwood, Quiroga, and Stewart due up in the home half. Gutierrez trying to get them back into the dugout without any damage done here. The 2-2 with 2 outs. Lofted over into foul territory. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for just the second time today for the Bats of Tennessee as Citlali Gutierrez gets the Longhorns back into the run producers in the nation due up this inning to face Carlin Pickens for a 3rd time on this Sunday.
Yeah, you see Reese Atwood there, 7th with 56 RBIs this year. Katie Stewart came into the weekend 2nd with 62, has led the country a couple times this season in that category. Runners are on ahead of them. They're able to do some damage, but Reese Atwood going to have to get Texas going right now. See a good pitch from Pickens and be able to be on time.
With the pitching of Pickens, Kat, you noted when Tennessee can give her 3 runs, that's a good indicator. It's going to be a successful day for Tennessee pitching as a whole. You mentioned on the year, they've only lost once when they score 3. Since 2023, they are now 32 wins and only 4 losses when Tennessee's given their great pitchers in these recent years at least 3 runs to work with.
Well, that's a pretty average thought process for most coaches, thinking if you can score 3, you should be able to be in a ball game, win a ball game. Pitchers, obviously, in this day and age, so much technology and scouting, as we mentioned.
A 5-pitch walk for Atwood to lead off here in the 6th inning.
Pitchers are not going to be as much of a secret, so they are going to give up runs, but 3 is kind of the goal for most offenses, and obviously when you get more, definitely celebrate that.
So each Texas batter now represents the tying run. Vanessa Quiroga had the pinch hit single back in the 4th, has remained in the ball game. Atwood will remain in to run at first. Tennessee had only been to Austin once as a program back in 2012. You had that other Gibson back then, Lauren, Madison Shipman on that team. Of course, Texas had Hoagland, Washington, Thom, and Luna in the circle. Blair struck out 13 that day. Tennessee and Texas have met a couple times in Oklahoma City. They've met once in Mexico. Last year they met in Clearwater. But we're going to see the Lady Vols here just about every other year,
Yeah,
you would imagine.
There's one opponent in the SEC that even as an alum, having followed the program, that I don't feel like we match up a lot with. It's Tennessee, and really, to be honest, it was probably Arkansas too up until the last couple years. Obviously, Texas got sent to the Super Regionals there 3 years ago. But just 2 programs that even when I played here, we didn't face off against.
A 1-2 count to Quiroga with Atwood the runner on first, and there's your first out of the inning. As Pickens strikes out Quiroga for the first time, she'll pass on her knowledge to Katie Stu.
Well, Pickens able to use this off-speed pitch, and while it's up in the zone, it's slow enough that Texas just cannot time it up. Trying to expect 75 plus, having to then adjust to that 65-mile-an-hour changeup, even though it's in the zone.
7 strikeouts for Pickens after she fanned 8 in yesterday's start. Katie Stewart, couple of groundouts here today. A single mistake from Carlin Pickens, and this would be a brand new ball game, perhaps.
Well, you see Katie Stewart there with the deep breath, able to foul a ball off, but keeping herself in a good mental headspace.
62 RBI on the year to lead the Longhorns. You see where that ranks across the country. Atwood the runner on first after her leadoff walk. 0-2 to Stewart, fights just to stay alive and see another pitch.
And you see the speed of the pitch being flashed up there on the screen, and anything in the 60s, that's Carlin Pickens' changeup, and you can tell how different it is from her hard stuff with how far ahead Texas is, even on a 64-mile-an-hour pitch. They're having to try to get their foot down, get their barrel out early against something hard, so when she does throw that changeup, which she's starting to execute a lot better here late in the game, Texas being thrown off balance.
1 on, 1 out. Mike White hoping he gets to use that arm and wave at least a runner home this inning. After a leadoff walk to Reese Atwood. Tennessee's held its current lead since the top of the third. Tacked on insurance in the fifth. And Stewart able to lay off that one, 2-2.
Katie Stewart doing a good job getting her timing, seeing a lot of pitches from Pickens. The young sophomore, while we said leading or second in the country in RBIs, has had a little bit of an up and down sophomore season.
Down by 2 in the bottom of the 6. Opposite field, it'll get into right. Atwood will have to hold up its second. Katie Stewart will join her on the base paths as the tying run.
This pitch supposed to be outside, but comes back in, and while Katie Stewart a little bit jammed, she's strong enough that goes right through the 3-4 hole, and that one very big hole on that side with the way Tennessee was shifted off the line. But a good at bat by Katie Stewart, seeing a lot of pitches off the arm of Pickens, able to put Texas in a good position here in the 6th inning.
Bottom third of the order for Texas is 0 for 6 today against Carlin Pickens.
8 pitches by Katie Stewart in order to get that base hit. The sophomore just continuing to work little by little to make adjustments against the right-hander.
Third time for Simmons to see Pickens today. Leadoff walk from Atwood. A 1-out single from Stewart. 2 on. Tying run at first right now for Texas. We've seen some dramatic comebacks for Texas, including when Katie Stewart had the walk-off winner against Auburn a few weekends back.
Texas does have a flair for the dramatic sometimes here at home.
Left side, they'll try to get 2 over to first, and Tennessee gets the inning-ending double play. Longhorns will be down to their final 3 outs in the 7th inning. Can Tennessee grow the advantage? Looking to claim a weekend series. His teams won regular season conference titles last year. And Ella Dodge quickly retired for the 3rd time today.
And I believe this matchup has lived up to all the hype. Great pitching, timely hitting when you need it, and again, in a matchup like this, little things have to be shored up, done right. A couple things have to go your way today. Obviously, Tennessee got the pop-up bunt that fell in, not covering the plate, things that gave them momentum. But the team that can create momentum sees it, never really relinquish it. It's the winning formula, and Tennessee has not let up today, especially.
It's by Morgan with that single in the 4th before being caught stealing by Reese Atwood. I'm starting to regret all my life choices after seeing the joy that Katie Bennett had out there after getting that out, just jumping up and spinning in midair. Can't remember the last time I was inspired to do as much. Punched out towards left. And that's Caden Henry, your center fielder, in left to make that catch. There's no double play to be made this time around. It's 2 away.
No, but Texas playing Morgan well and being able to retire her majority of the time with that shift.
Texas will have their 8, 9, and top spot of the lineup due up in the home half of the 7th. But first they need to get the third out here. Kinsley Fiedler twice today has walked, both times has come home to score. Led off the first and 5th innings with free passes. This is her first time to see Gutierrez. She was the second to last Lady Vol to see Kavan in that 5th inning.
Gutierrez quickly ahead of Fiedler, able to use her drop on the outer half plus that changeup.
Mentioned top 4 in the lineup. Through their first 12 plate appearances, finally retired a total of 4 times, but that included another sacrifice fly in that mix as well from Boo Gibson, who's going to come out of this weekend probably in a conversation for some weekly honors in the conference.
Well, if I'm the Tennessee SID, it's not so much of what the batting average is, it's the clutch RBIs that she's been able to have in this series against Texas pitching.
And had that home run yesterday that really defined the ball game. An RBI double in the 3rd today, as well as a sac fly in the 5th. She may not have to swing a bat again here in Austin. Now it's Fiedler fighting off pitches, count full with 2 outs.
So Lely Gutierrez had Fiedler eating out of her hand. She was 0-2, but unable to land her changeups. After getting ahead, now sees herself even with Fiedler.
It's a 2-out walk. 3rd time today, Fiedler sees ball 4. She has scored each of the prior 2 occasions.
Third baseman Taylor Pennell.
Taylor Pennell has yet to be retired today. Was hit by a pitch in the 1st, doubled and scored in the 3rd, singled in the 5th inning. Pennell punches this one. It's going to get down in the gap, and with 2 outs, full speed ahead for Fiedler from 1st to 3rd. And Boo Gibson will get to swing a bat for a 4th time today.
That's why it's so important when you have a hitter 0-2, you're able to compete still in the zone and retire her. Fiedler walking after being 0-2 gives some life to Tennessee's offense. Taylor Pennell doesn't have to do a whole lot to now bring up the most feared hitter in their lineup for this weekend.
Patty Ruth Taylor, pitching coach for the Longhorns. She knows a little bit about Tennessee. She, of course, came over from time at Middle Tennessee. But Boo Gibson will be the first batter that Lely Gutierrez sees twice. Remember, Gutierrez came in mid at bat of Gibson with a 2-0 count already to Gibson's name. 3-1 was your final score yesterday. The first 2 of those 3 runs courtesy of the home run in the 1st inning from Boo.
When you see this pitch elevated by Mac Morgan, but Boo Gibson drives that out dead left center. It's the early momentum and all the momentum really that the Lady Vols needed.
Looking to tack another one on. 3rd RBI plate appearance today for Boo Gibson. 3rd time Kenzie Fiedler, after being walked, comes home to score.
Right now, the way Boo Gibson's seeing the ball, I don't know why. Even with 2 outs, just put her on. They had a base open. Don't let her continue to put up RBIs, make the deficit bigger. Not a bad pitch by Gutierrez, a little bit too much plate. But you have to know, Gibson popped up.
One pitch later, Scott with the scoop, but 1 pitch too late. Tennessee has Texas down to their final 3 outs. Tennessee has grown their lead to 3 against the #1 team in the nation. conference weekend since last year in March. They haven't dropped a home conference weekend since 2022 against Oklahoma. Number 1, number 5 doing battle this weekend. Here's Leanne Good. Good, Bennett, and Maloney, the minimum 3 due up to face Pickens. They're combined 1 for 7 today against the Tennessee Ace.
All right, now for Texas, they need base runners. But Pickens has been able to limit the free passes, so you have to be able to pick what pitch you're looking for. And right there, a strike on the inner half and a strike on the outer half. Leanne Good has to decide which side are you looking for and be aggressive, try to get the barrel there for that.
5 different Texas batters have accounted for the 5 total hits today against Pickens. Good trying to join them. Bennett in the on-deck circle. Eighth strikeout for Pickens to match her total 24 hours ago.
Well, Pickens just unfazed when she even gets even in the count. 2-2 here, but she goes low and in with a drop ball, actually fastball, excuse me, but a good spot there. And that's where Texas just not being aggressive early, getting your timing. And a lot of people say don't swing early in the count, you need base runners, but if she plates a ball, you need to be ready to barrel that up.
And Katie Bennett reached on an error back in the 5th. Longhorns have had base runners just about every inning except the 2nd. They've stranded 6 today. Longhorns had the tying run on base last inning before Tennessee turned 2. And that could have easily made it a 3-0 count to Bennett, but they'll say it just grazed the outer edge of the strike zone. 2-1.
The 4th, 5th, and 6th innings, Texas was able to get the lead off runners on base, but unable to move them into scoring position and then coming up with the big hit. So while you say Texas 6 left on, it's been those keys of the runners not being able to get moved over quickly for Texas to take advantage.
Wow. Back-to-back strikeouts. That one a backwards K. 9th strikeout for Pickens.
Well, this pitch on the outer half against Katie Bennett, but if I'm Katie Bennett, I'm not swinging at that because I spent the first 4 innings watching that be ball out of the hand of
She saw it
Kavon.
twice in that plate appearance.
And that pitch was definitely stretched off the corner. But you do have to protect with 2 strikes, but man, to be on defense and watch your pitcher throw something similar and then get rung up on it, it's hard.
Here's Ashton Maloney. Texas down to their final out. They had only lost 2 SEC games all year. Tennessee trying to hand them their 2nd loss over the last 2 days. Nugent unable to frame that one. Pickens gets all 3 starts this weekend. Trusts the process after being pulled after the first inning on Friday. Goes the distance yesterday. Looking for her 2nd straight win against number 1. And has Maloney down to her final strike.
Well, Pickens is just on a roll. She's gotten in a groove, and you can see no matter what happens, base hit, free passes, she just never comes out of that zone. She's really able to control the strike zone, control the tempo of the game.
Appeal down, did not swing. Again, Pickens, your National Pitcher of the Week, as named by the NFCA. Back-to-back SEC Pitcher of the Week this past week was co-Pitcher of the Week with Tegan Kavon. Texas trailing by 3 in the bottom of the 7th. Count goes full with 2 outs here to Maloney. Mentioning the NFCA brings to mind Brian Davis, the Tennessee graduate, longtime SID for Tennessee, longtime SID here at Texas as well afterwards. Great ambassador for the sport, shared by these 2 schools. Payoff pitch to Maloney. They'll do it again. If Maloney can get on, Caden Henry on deck. Texas today just 1 run on 5 hits against Carlin Pickens. Again the 3-2. Ball game is still underway here in Alston. A 2-out single from Ashton Maloney.
Well, it's a tall task, but Texas still in the fight here. Ashton Maloney with her second hit of the day off of Carlin Pickens.
Tennessee able to tack on even an extra run this past inning, giving Pickens that much room to breathe. Mike White's going to talk things over, so Karen Weekly will as well.
That extra run the last half inning, really key, because otherwise you'd be looking at the tying run coming to the plate with Caden Henry. And while Caden Henry is known to be more with her speed and some small balls sometimes, she does have power. You can tell Coach White wanted to have a conversation about what the game plan is here, as Caden Henry, Mia Scott, and Reese Atwood are all next in line if they can continue this 2-out rally that Ashton Maloney just started.
They won't gamble with the base runner Maloney since she's not the tying or go-ahead run. They just hope that they can accumulate some more base runners. Caden Henry will try to then pass the torch to Mia Scott. Carlin Pickens still just needs 1 out to give Tennessee the weekend series here in Alston. Maloney the run on first. Henry at the plate facing Pickens for a 4th time today. Withdraws the bunt, but the pitch in there for a strike.
Well, the defense for Tennessee playing really deep. And Caden Henry does have speed. She can put down a bunt and beat it out.
Pulls this one foul.
So now with 2 strikes, the bunt's off the table, but that's not a bad option for Texas to just try to extend the inning and let the bat pass to Mia Scott and then Reese Atwood.
Runner on first for Texas, trailing by 3 here in the bottom of the 7th. The 0-2 from Pickens to Henry. Caught her. Tennessee takes the SEC Weekend Series in this top 5 clash here in Alston against number 1 Texas. Your National Pitcher of the Week and back-to-back SEC Pitcher of the Week, Carlin Pickens, pitching another gem, her 2nd straight in as many days.
Well, Karen Weekly gambled on night 1, starting Pickens, pulling her, letting the rest of the staff take that game, trying to back in the series and get games 2 and 3. It paid off. Carlin Pickens, absolutely masterful on the mound. Have to imagine she's in the running for Pitcher of the Week nationally again with the way she pitched here against one of the top offenses in the country.
It's been a weekend of firsts for Tennessee, including a couple of wins over number 1 for the 5th-ranked Lady Vols.